Today, you'll learn 5 easy English sentences you can use daily.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Easy English Talk. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm really happy to have you here today.
Hi, friends. I'm Julia, your co-host. If you want to speak English fluently and confidently, you are definitely in the right place.
That's right. In today's episode, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful skills every English learner needs: how to make your brain think in English.
Yes, many learners can read and write in English, but when they try to speak, their brain still thinks in their native language first. They translate every word, and that makes speaking slow and stressful.
Exactly. And the truth is, fluency starts in your mind, not just in your mouth. When your brain begins to think in English naturally, you can speak faster, understand better, and sound more confident.
That's so true, Jason. So today, we'll explore how you can train your brain to switch from your native language to English step by step.
We'll talk about why thinking in English is important, how your brain learns languages, and we'll share easy daily habits that will help you think in English without even realizing it.
And don't worry, it's easier than you think. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to practice a few smart techniques that we'll explain in this episode.
So, make sure you stay with us until the end, because we'll also give you a fun practice challenge you can start using today.
All right, Jason, I'm really excited for this one. Let's get started.
Let's do it and help our brains start thinking in English. So, Julia, before we teach how to make the brain think in English, let's talk about why this skill is so important.
Yes, that's a great place to start. Many English learners try to speak by first thinking in their native language, then translating every word into English. That's what slows them down.
Exactly. When your brain is busy translating, it can't focus on expressing ideas naturally. You might forget words, lose confidence, or even stop speaking.
Right. But when you start thinking directly in English, your words come faster, your sentences sound more natural, and you don't have to stop every few seconds to remember vocabulary.
It's like this. Imagine you're in a conversation and someone asks, "How was your weekend?" If your brain thinks in English, you instantly say, "It was great. I went out with my friends." But if you think in your native language first, you pause, translate, and your answer sounds less natural.
That's a perfect example. Thinking in English helps you speak smoothly and confidently. It also improves your listening because your brain gets used to hearing English words and ideas directly without translation.
And another benefit is memory. When you think in English, your brain starts to connect English words with real experiences, not with translations. That makes learning faster and long-lasting.
Exactly. So, thinking in English is not just about speaking faster, it's about training your brain to live in English.
Beautifully said, Julia. So now that we know why it matters, let's learn how the brain actually learns a language and how we can train it to think in English naturally. All right, now that we know why thinking in English is so important, let's understand how our brain actually learns a language.
Yes, this part is really interesting. Our brain is like a supercomputer. It learns through connection and repetition. Every time we hear, say, or think a word in English, our brain builds a small connection, or what we can call a language pathway.
Exactly. And the more we use that word, the stronger that connection becomes. So, if you always say words like good morning, how are you, or thank you, your brain starts to remember them automatically. You don't have to translate them anymore.
Right. It's the same way children learn languages. When babies hear the same words every day, like mama, milk, or bye-bye, their brain connects the sound, the image, and the feeling together. They don't translate, they just understand it.
That's such a good point. And adults can learn in the same way. The problem is, most adults try too hard to learn English by memorizing grammar or translating. But the brain learns best when it connects English words directly to actions, emotions, and real situations.
Yes. For example, when you're eating an apple, say in your mind, I'm eating an apple. Don't think of the translation. Just connect the English sentence with the action of eating. That's how your brain learns naturally.
Exactly. The key is to experience English, not just study it. When you listen, speak, or think in English regularly, your brain starts to switch into English mode. It becomes automatic.
And this is why daily practice matters so much. Even 10 or 15 minutes every day can build strong English thinking habits in your brain.
That's right. So, to train your brain, you don't need to study more, you just need to use English more in your everyday life.
Beautifully said, Jason. Now that we understand how the brain works, let's learn how to start small with simple English thoughts and sentences every day.
Perfect. Coming up next, we'll show you Step 1, Start Small, Think Simple English Sentences. All right, now that we know how the brain learns, it's time to start training it. The first step is simple start small.
Yes, many learners think they have to make big, complex sentences in English, but that's not true. You should start with short, simple sentences that you can use every day.
Exactly. For example, when you wake up in the morning, think I'm awake. When you go to the kitchen, think I'm making tea. Or when you feel tired, think I need to rest.
That's perfect. These short sentences are powerful because they match your real life. When you think simple English sentences about your daily activities, your brain starts to link English with your real experiences.
Right? And don't worry about grammar or perfect structure in the beginning. The goal is to train your brain to use English words naturally, not to be perfect.
Exactly. You can even practice by describing your day in your mind. For example, say it's a sunny day. I'm walking to school. I'm studying English now.
Yes, and if you forget a word, don't stop or translate. Just use another simple word or skip it. The most important thing is to keep your thoughts flowing in English.
That's a great tip. So remember, start small. Think simple. One sentence at a time. That's how you build the foundation for English thinking.
Beautifully said, Julia. And once you get used to that, you can move to the next step, describing what you see and do around you in English.
I love that one. Let's talk about it next.
Now that you've started thinking in short English sentences, the next step is to describe what you see and what you do in English.
Yes, this is a really fun and powerful way to train your brain. You simply talk to yourself quietly, in your mind about what's happening around you.
Exactly. For example, if you're walking outside, you can think, the sky is blue. Children are playing. I'm walking to the store.
Or when you're cooking, think I'm cutting vegetables. The water is boiling. It smells delicious. These small thoughts connect English directly to what you see and do.
Yes, and that's what makes this method so effective. Your brain starts to connect English with real life, not with your native language. It's a kind of self-talk, and it helps you think in English automatically.
Exactly. You don't need to speak out loud if you're shy, you can think silently. But if you want to practice speaking, saying it softly is also great.
That's right. The more you describe your world in English, the faster your brain will adapt. It's like telling your brain, English is part of my daily life now.
I love that. So remember, everyone describe what you see, what you do, and what happens around you. Make English your daily inner voice.
Beautifully said, Julia. And in the next step, we'll learn how to stop translating from your native language and start thinking only in English.
That's a big one. Let's jump into it next.
All right, now let's talk about one of the hardest habits to break translating from your native language into English.
Yes, this is a big problem for many learners. When you think in your own language first, and then try to translate every word into English, it slows you down and makes speaking stressful.
Exactly. You might start a sentence in your head like, how do I say this in English? And by the time you find the words, the conversation has already moved on.
That's so true. The good news is you can train your brain to stop translating. The secret is to connect English words with meanings, not with translations.
Right. For example, when you hear the word apple, don't think of the translation in your native language. Just imagine a red, juicy apple in your mind. Connect the English word to the image or feeling, not to your first language.
That's a great trick. And you can also use easy English explanations instead of your native language. For example, if you forget what angry means, think of it like this: not happy or feeling bad. You're still using English to understand English.
Exactly. That's what we call thinking English to English. It's a small change, but it makes a huge difference in how fast you learn and speak.
Yes. So remember, stop translating. Start imagining, describing, and understanding everything directly in English. Your brain will adjust. It just needs time and practice.
Well said, Julia. And in our next step, we'll talk about a powerful way to help your brain remember English faster by visualizing words and ideas in English.
That sounds exciting. Let's explore that next.
Now let's talk about another powerful way to make your brain think in English: visualization.
Yes, visualization simply means to imagine pictures in your mind. Our brains love images. When you imagine something, your brain remembers it much better than just reading or hearing it.
Exactly. So, when you learn or hear an English word, don't just repeat it, see it in your mind. For example, when you hear the word apple, imagine a shiny red apple in your hand.
Or when you hear rain, imagine water falling from the sky, people with umbrellas, and the sound of raindrops. When you do this, your brain connects the word rain directly with the image and feeling, not the translation.
That's right. This is how children learn language. They see something, hear the word, and remember it through the picture in their minds. Adults can do the same thing with English words and sentences.
Yes. And here's a quick exercise for our listeners. Close your eyes for a few seconds and imagine these words: coffee, smile, sun, and music. Try to see and feel each one in your mind.
Perfect. If you practice this every day, your brain will start to remember English words faster, and you'll think in English more naturally.
Exactly. So remember, don't just hear English, see it, feel it, and live it in your mind.
Beautifully said, Julia. And in our next step, we'll talk about how to use English for daily decisions and planning another simple way to train your brain to stay in English mode.
I love that. Let's dive into it next.
All right, let's move to our next step: using English for your daily decisions and planning.
Yes, this is one of my favorite steps because it helps you make English a part of your daily life. You can start by thinking in English when you plan your day or make small choices.
Exactly. For example, when you wake up, think, "What will I do today?" Then answer in English, "I will study English for 1 hour." Or, "I will go to the market."
Yes, even simple decisions like "I will wear my blue shirt today" or "I need to finish my homework first" are great. You're using English for real thoughts, not just for lessons.
That's right. You can also use English when organizing your day, like making to-do lists or talking to yourself about your plans. For example, first, "I'll clean my room." Then, "I'll call my friend."
Exactly. This kind of daily English thinking is powerful because it connects English to your real life. The more you do it, the more natural it feels.
And here's a small challenge for our listeners. Try to plan your entire day in English, even just in your mind. It's a simple but powerful way to make your brain think in English all day long.
That's a great idea, Jason. So remember, everyone use English not only for learning, but for living.
Perfectly said. And speaking of daily practice, in our next step, we'll learn how to practice fast thinking to help your brain respond quickly in English conversations.
That sounds fun. Let's get into that next.
Okay, now it's time for one of the most exciting steps practice fast thinking activities.
Yes, this step is all about training your brain to respond quickly in English without too much thinking or translating.
Exactly. Because in real conversations, you don't have much time to stop and translate. You need to answer fast, just like native speakers do.
Right. So one simple activity you can try is called Describe 5 Things. Look around you right now and describe 5 things in English quickly. For example, the chair is brown. The window is open. My phone is on the table.
That's a great one. Another fun activity is 5-second answers. Ask yourself quick questions like, "What's your favorite food?" Or, "What do you do in the morning?" And answer immediately, no long thinking time.
I love that. You can even use word association. For example, when you hear the word summer, say the first English word that comes to your mind may be hot, beach, or ice cream.
Yes, these fast-thinking games help your brain stay in English mode and reduce your fear of making mistakes. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to keep your brain active in English.
Exactly. And when you practice this every day, even for 5 minutes, you'll start to think faster, speak smoother, and feel more confident.
That's right. So remember, practice speed, not perfection. Fast thinking builds fluency.
Beautifully said, Jason. And in our next step, we'll learn another powerful trick how listening and imitation can help your brain think in English naturally.
Yes, that's one of my favorite techniques. Let's explore it next. Now we're at step 7, listen more and imitate. This is a very powerful way to train your brain to think in English naturally.
Yes, listening is the key. When you listen to English everyday podcasts, movies, songs, or even conversations, your brain starts recognizing words and phrases automatically.
Exactly. And the next part is imitation. Repeat what you hear, the exact words, the tone, and even the rhythm. This helps your brain remember English patterns without translation.
Right. For example, if you hear someone say, "I'm going to the park," repeat it aloud, "I'm going to the park." You're training your brain to think and speak in English at the same time.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is to practice listening, repeating, and connecting the sounds to meanings. Over time, your brain will start thinking in English naturally.
Exactly. You can also shadow English videos, listen and speak at the same time, just like a shadow. This is a fun way to improve your fluency and confidence.
And the more you listen and imitate, the faster your brain will switch into English mode. You'll understand more and speak faster without translating.
Beautifully said. So remember, everyone listen, repeat, and imitate. Make English a part of your everyday life.
Perfect. And next, we'll talk about the last step, being patient and consistent while training your brain to think in English.
Yes, that's very important. Let's dive into it.
All right, we've covered a lot of practical steps. Now, the final step is very important. Be patient and consistent.
Yes, many learners get frustrated because they don't see immediate results. But remember, training your brain to think in English takes time. It's like exercising a muscle.
Exactly. Even just 10 to 15 minutes every day is more powerful than one long study session once a week. Consistency is key.
And patience is just as important. Your brain is forming new connections, and it needs time to strengthen them. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning.
Right. Celebrate small wins. For example, if you successfully think in English for 5 minutes without translating, that's progress.
Exactly. Keep practicing daily, even with short sentences or small thoughts. Over time, thinking in English will become automatic, and speaking fluently will feel natural.
So remember, friends, patience, and consistency are your best friends on this journey.
Absolutely. And with that mindset, your brain will slowly but surely switch into English mode every day.
Beautiful. And next, we'll share a real-life story to show how these steps really work in action. Now, Julia, I love sharing real-life examples. They really show that all these steps actually work.
Absolutely. I have one in mind. There's a student named Sarah. She was struggling to speak English because she kept translating everything from her native language.
Yes, I know her story. Sarah decided to practice thinking in English every day, even for just 10 minutes. She started with simple sentences, described what she was doing, and visualized words in her mind.
Exactly. At first, it was difficult and she made mistakes, but she was patient and consistent. Every day, she practiced fast-thinking activities, listened to English, and imitated native speakers.
And after a few months, something amazing happened. Her brain started thinking directly in English. She could answer questions quickly, speak confidently, and even dream in English sometimes.
Yes. Sarah's story shows that anyone can do it if they follow these steps consistently. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep practicing.
Exactly. And that's why we always tell our listeners small daily habits lead to big results.
Beautifully said, Jason. So friends, take inspiration from stories like Sarah's and start training your brain today.
All right, Julia. Let's quickly recap everything we've learned today.
Yes. First, we learned why thinking in English is so important for fluency. Then we talked about how the brain learns languages and why connecting English to real life works best.
Exactly. After that, we shared practical steps. Start small with simple sentences. Describe what you see and do.